Thank you, David. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the introduction at the beginning of the webinar as well. As David mentioned, I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about how the Minnesota State Patrol has came upon response and how we're incorporating it today into our own operational plans almost on a daily basis and how we're using that. So like most departmental ideas and solutions, they came out of necessity and challenges that are experienced in the field. And one of those experiences and one of those challenges that we came upon is maybe you know or don't know, but there was extreme civil unrest and sustained riotous behavior in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area in May and June of 2020, not only here, but across the nation. But what was unique here is as a result of those events, the entire Minnesota State Patrol, every single trooper was deployed to the metro area, Minneapolis-St. Paul area. What that meant is all patrol stations across the entire state were vacated and every single trooper responded to the metro area. This was the first time that this type of call out and response has ever occurred in our agency's history, but all the resources were needed inside the city in order to quell that civil unrest. Afterwards, when that was taken care of, we had some time to evaluate many areas where the organization needed improvement when and if this happened again. Along with other items, there were 3 areas that really stood out. And the first one was the inability to observe in real time where all State Patrol resources were located, which contributed to some maybe miscommunication and some misunderstandings of where people were actually at and where teams were actually deployed. The second thing that we identified that we really needed to solve before the next time this occurred, unfortunately, was having real-time information being disseminated and being able to see, being seen by those in the operational center. Meaning, kind of going back to point 1, where we needed to look at is those that are making the decisions in the multi-agency communication centers or emergency operations centers couldn't see where those teams were at and couldn't make informed, good decisions of where to deploy resources. And the third thing, which is kind of separate from the first 2, was our arrest process, especially when we went into the times when we had mass arrests, meaning hundreds of people were getting arrested at the same time, and being accountable and having that process refined to ensure that we held other people accountable, whether they were taken into custody or cited. So we took those 3 things, and I was put in charge of addressing those 3 things. And what happened is research was conducted and product presentations took place from various companies. In the end, we decided on response to move forward, but we did that incrementally. So the first thing that we did was we provided some training to some super users, which were our supervisors of our mobile response team, those that are going to be out there doing the riot control, going to be on the front line, and we had them test it. After we did that training with our mobile response team, there was a trial period in the field with a great deal of favorable feedback from the response software that we were utilizing. After that, we obtained licenses for every single Minnesota State Patrol supervisor in the entire organization. And then training was conducted over 4 virtual sessions across about a month. So about every week we had 1 virtual session where a supervisor could tune into, got trained not only by the people that have already been using the system, but also experts from Intrepid or Response that came on and answered questions and kind of went through everything, whether it's the laptop or the table version or the app applicability in the field. Since that time, which was about late summer, early fall, since that time, other state partners in the state of Minnesota have come on board. So our Department of Natural Resources and also our Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the investigative unit of our organization, also came on board. So it's been expanding since since the first time that we kind of put it into use and did the testing on it. Fast forward to how we utilize response right now. It is utilized at every large-scale deployment of resources to address civil disturbance and other areas as well. So look at this like when there's a large operation, doesn't matter what the reason is or what why it came about. Much like a radio communications plan, we also have a response plan, a response app plan that's incorporated into our larger operational plan. For instance, we use it at the state capitol for every single civil disturbance or protest type activity. We also had Northern Minnesota pipeline operations that our DNR partners are utilizing Response for in order to get updated information in real time. What we really like about it is the up-to-date notes that are submitted can be observed by anyone around the state. So no matter if you're there at the event or not, if you have that license and you're on the system, you can see what's going on, so you can prepare. I'm going to be called next, or I can go up there. I know my team is going to be called next, and you can get that up-to-date information even though you're not on scene. So you're better prepared. The other thing that we addressed that I talked about in those 3 challenges in the beginning of this was the arrest processing. Now, when we do a mass arrest situation, we use the Response app in a different channel to facilitate the arrest process of several people. Photos are taken of each arrestee, notes are taken with and entered into the Response app that has all the information, whether it's the case number, the name of the person, the name of the arresting officer or trooper, the charges, date, time, all that stuff is entered in real time, and a rolling log is automatically generated at that time, which can be printed out afterwards. For instance, for an example, in November, there was a freeway breach in the state of Minnesota, and as a result of that, 600 subjects were arrested in that mass arrest. Every single one of them had their photos taken, and an entire log was generated because of that, which helped facilitate report writing after the fact and avoiding confusion or anything else of who arrested who, and that process was streamlined. At the same time all this is going on, there's real-time locations of all the teams that are out there. So the reason we went with just having just our supervisors have the license and the app on their phones was we know how many people are standing in front of them. So a supervisor may have 10 to 25 troopers in front of them. If we know where that supervisor is at, we know how many personnel are with them, and we can easily decipher that on a map. At the end of each event, we do download these logs and put it to a PDF file, and that's forwarded to everybody involved, again, to streamline that after action reports that need to be done. And that seems to work out extremely well for us. And I'll just kind of close and kind of move on to the next thing, to our next presenter in just a minute here. But just know, for the frequency, we use this just about every day in the state of Minnesota. The Response app in northern Minnesota during our pipeline operations that are being taken care of right now, just about every week or weekend in the metro during civil disturbance or planned protests, that type of thing. And again, I just want to reinforce it's become a part of our operational planning and utilization, just like a radio comm plan that you would have for any other larger event in your jurisdictions. I'd just like to kind of call out to the outstanding support we do receive from Response and their backside support when you do have a question about what's going on too. So that is all I have, and I'll be around for questions that are going to be happening later on, or if you need to get a hold of me, I'm sure my contact information will be made available to anybody on this webinar. Be happy to reach out to you and talk about other things when it comes to the Response app. That's all I have for my formal presentation. I'll now turn it over to Jason Winslow. Thank you.
Wow, Captain Geiger, thank you very much.